Hello, everybody. Hey there, Toy Film. Hello, Prasnet. I'll get to it in a moment. This thing is amazing. Is truly amazing. Truly amazing. What can I say? You realized yesterday that you're the same guy who took a talk in Milan about low-level programming in Zig a few years ago. Yes, that. I mean, that might have been me. Probably. Can't say for sure, but yes. If you talk about Milan about low-level programming, are you talking about the Papers We Love meetup or the Crafted Software meetup? I think those are the two meetups where I've talked about this kind of stuff. No, I think there was a third one. No, but that one was about snapshot testing. So Papers We Love. Yeah. Indeed. Okay, let me put a countdown so we can get this show rolling. Okay, while we wait, I'm gonna go get something to drink. And yeah, I'll be right back. Okay. Whew. What do we do while we wait? Whatever, the same thing that everybody does, right? You go on Hacker News. Let's see what they have. FFmpeg assembly language lessons. Interesting. I built an app to block shorts and reels. Okay. Web apps in a single portable, self-updating vanilla HTML file. What? Build web apps like you're sculpting clay, not managing infrastructure. Modern web development forces you through layers of abstraction, config files, build steps, magic frameworks, deployment pipelines. Okay. Hyperclay, oh, so it is a framework, returns to a simpler model. Your app is a single HTML file you and your clients manipulate directly. Edit the file through its visual UI, and it persists in its own state. What if web apps were as simple to edit as documents? Hyperclay makes it possible. UI logic and data live in one self-modifying HTML file. Edit it live, share it instantly, download and use it locally. It's Google Docs for interactive code. Example HTML apps. Devlog. Devlog. Oh, it's an editable box. I'm not sure I get it. Why remove post? Add project. Banana. Which is actually appropriate if the link is to a zoo. Dormant project. Experiment. Okay. I think I got lost halfway through the explanation. Cool. Cool though. Cool. Okay, I think that's enough fucking news for me today. Maybe we should go through the ASM lessons. We'll see. Okay, I'm gonna drink a little bit more of my tea and then I'm ready to start. Also, hello, Danik. I don't remember if I greeted you earlier or not. Okay, so actually, also a sip of water. So this spec was designed by Satan. I cannot imagine how else this could have happened. Yesterday, so what are we looking at? We're looking at the audio element. And the audio element, actually we're not, but that's where we are right now. But now we're going to move to the actual element that we care about. So we did implement the audio element. And we implemented it fully. But it interacts with other elements that we do not implement. So in isolation, this element is complete, but obviously for it to fully work, it needs also other elements. So I went and started working on source. Source, I think that this element is part of a relatively new part of the spec. I don't think this is an old element. I think this is new. Although it is a void tag. And void tags are not new. You know what? This might not be as new as I think it is. I was particularly disappointed because I thought it was new. But the fact that it's a void tag makes me think that it might not be as new as I think it is. In any case, so here's the problem. This thing has some rules that are annoying. So I went here and read the description of which attributes it accepts. It accepts global attributes. Cool. It accepts type. Cool. It accepts media. Cool. Actually, type is not cool at all because it requires MIME type parsing, which, by the way, I realized yesterday, the part that I thought I could not implement yet, I actually can. So the first thing that we're going to do today is finish the MIME type parsing because we actually can. It can work already today. So that part we need to fill out. But then there's these other fields, and check it out. So source only works if this element is under audio or video. And these other ones only work if this element is inside of a picture element. So source has basically the nesting, the parent of the source element dictates which attributes you can give to this element. And that already is S, because it introduces an extra layer of checking that we didn't have to do before. Yesterday night, on my own, I started implementing this. So I added the concept. Also, there's this new idea that this element has required attributes. Source is a required attribute. So I introduced the concept of required attributes, and I also introduced the concept of this attribute is only valid when your current element is nested under a specific element. And so I said that source is required, but it also only valid under audio and video. It's, I added a little bit of extra complexity to the attribute like selection mechanism and, just a little bit extra logic, and it works. Not great, but doable. And I thought I was done. But it turns out, implemented as source picture and source audio video. Unfortunately, that would not solve it either. Oh, Prasnet. Oh, Prasnet. So here's, by the way, creating two copies of the same element is also kind of turbo sucks, because now previously we would have had a one-to-one mapping, like every element is a real element. We wouldn't have like pseudo elements, and now we would start having pseudo elements. So it's an approach that comes with a too long list of downsides. And despite that, it's still not enough, because check this out. Or more precisely, source is fine as is. So with the current implementation, source would be done. But let's look at the ones that we have to put on when source, the attributes that we have to use when source is under picture, not under audio and video, which is what we were worrying about right now. So look at what happens. The source element's parent is a picture element. Source set attribute must be present and has its own validation rules. Cool. The source set attribute contributes the image sources to the source set if the source element is selected. We don't care about this stuff. This is like runtime-y stuff that browser cares. We don't. But we do care about this last stuff. If the source set attribute has any image candidate strings using a with descriptor, The sizes attribute may also be present. So we need to parse the contents of source set to decide if sizes can or cannot be present. Then, and so far, it's fine. We can do it. It's not a big deal. If additionally, and although, by the way, not a big deal, although this is some more extra bullshittery that we have to worry about, but fine. If additionally, the following sibling EMG element does not allow auto sizes, the sizes attribute must be present. The sizes attribute is a sizes attribute which contributes the source size to the source set if the source element is selected. Hello, X2. So, long story short, this freaking element not only has restrictions depending on where it is nested, but it looks at the following sibling IMG element. And this applies to all source set elements. So basically, every time you're validating a source set element, has to look forward. They have to validate also their siblings, which is so stupid. Let's see. The source element supports dimension attributes. The EMG element can use the width and height attributes of a source element instead of these on the EMG element itself to determine its render dimensions and aspect ratio as defined in the rendering section. The EMG element, if the EMG element allows auto sizes, then the sizes attribute can be omitted on previous sibling source elements. In such cases, it is equivalent to specifying auto. So it means that these attributes cannot be, these elements like source, they can't, their attributes can't really be validated in isolation, or rather, we could, but doing so would require each element to be, first of all, be able to navigate up the tree, look at, scan forward to see the IMG element, find attributes, like parse attributes in the IMG element to figure out if it allows auto sizes or not. And by the way, let's see what it takes to figure out if it allows auto sizes. And so its loading attribute is set to the lazy state, and sizes attribute value is auto or starts with auto comma. So it's not incredibly complicated, but long story short, here's the problem. Sources, even though they're elements, they're like glorified attributes in a sense. They are weirdly shaped attributes of the parent element. So long story short, the efficient way of validating these elements is as part of the validation of the parent. So while we're validating the parent, so picture, to be specific, while we're validating picture should also do attribute validation for its children. We never had to do this before, but this is a new thing. And it's doable, so it's fine. We can make it work. But it kind of shows you how shitty this design is. I don't know if this is clear to everybody else watching as it is for me. But what's happening is this. So let's say that we're not in video, we're in picture. So what we're saying is that in picture, basically, so instead of track, that would be EMG. So what we're saying basically is that a picture will have all these guys in it. These guys' attributes depend on what EMG has. Like, so what was this thing that said foo equals auto? I don't remember. Some attribute set to auto or auto comma or whatever. So all these things depend on this. And ultimately, these what they do is basically being a more modern version, like a more I don't even know if modern is the right word for it, but like a more expressive way of setting source, because it used to be that you could do source, I don't know, banana.png, but now there's all the fancy stuff, right? It's source set equals banana dark.png, and you have media equals I don't remember, like prefers dark theme. This is probably not the syntax for it, but you know, you have all these rules. I've used it myself. I don't remember the syntax, but I used it myself, where basically for the same image we can say, well, if it's light mode we use this one, if it's dark mode if it's light mode we use this one. And so in reality these guys would like to be attributes, but they can't be attributes, because for them to be attributes, there would have to be a concept of like a repeated attribute. But if you think about it, it's literally just a way for you to have multiple copies of these attributes. So source, even though it exists as an element, at the end of the day, it's an appendix of picture. And I guess similarly, it's an appendix of audio and video. So and then if you look at it from this perspective, then it makes sense that these attributes, if you think of them as attributes of picture, then it makes sense that the attributes that you put in picture might have an interaction with the attributes that you put on EMG down here. Again, not great, but still like more reasonable, I guess. It's just that this is S. This is so S. Turbo S. Completely turbo S. Source is not a real element. It's a pseudo element, basically. So what does this mean? This means two things. Number one, we need to implement, well, we're going to need to fix the MIME thing first, but then before continuing with source, we implement picture. We will probably need to undo some of the recent additions that I made. So this stuff here, I might remove, because we just cannot automate this way, because we will need to, basically source will need to have something like this. Instead of having static attributes, this guy will need to have something like parent, where the idea is that this element doesn't perform its own attribute validation. The parent element will do attribute validation. And so that way we'll basically have a switch where we can not attempt attribute validation for this element ever, and instead it will be the duty of audio, video, or picture. And audio and video will do like a simplified version where we basically just do this, but ad hoc. And in the other case, we'll do all the weird bullshit that you have to do for the picture case. Such is life. What can I say? HTML never fails to surprise. And this design is, I don't know, is weird. To be fair, would I have preferred that they, instead of this, they had some kind of like nested, they had some kind of nested syntax. So you would say, I don't know, square bracket, banana, dark, the PNG. Actually, no, the way they would do it, it would be something like this. Banana, dark, the PNG, semicolon, prefers, dark, theme, semicolon, banana, light, PNG, semicolon. Actually, no, it would probably be something like equal sign. I don't know. Equal sign, light, semicolon, something else. Would I have preferred this other syntax? And this is also a simplistic example because the media query that you can put in here actually has a lot more syntax than what I'm putting here. So would that be a preferable approach? I don't know. I don't know. To be honest, I don't know. But you could still have done something like source set and then square bracket 1, source set square bracket 2. Would that have worked? You can name attributes this way. Like, how many of these guys are you ever going to propose? Like, you could say that it supports up to I don't know 128. No, you know what? I would have hated that one as well. So I would have to think more about a better solution, if there can even be any. But in any case, so this is how things are going. So let's fix MIME, finish implementing that freaking parsing algorithm. Then we also, you know what? I'm gonna add fuzzing stuff in here. So here's fuzzing. I think this one even deserves like sub tasks. So fuzzing, MIME, parsing. Then what else do we want to fuzz? What else are we parsing right now? I mean, class names we're splitting on spaces, so we're pretty much doing nothing. We're not parsing CSS. Oh, we are parsing keybinds, but those are so simple. There's no point in fuzzing that. So you know what? For now, this is the only like sub parser that we're caring about. Okay, so let's go find the MIME sheet. Let's go. What a joy. What a joy. Okay, so the equal sign case. We need to do this. This is missing. So we go back. We go to... Yeah, we go to track. So we actually shouldn't have gone back. Now, what am I doing? Source. We go to type. MIME type string. Here's the delicious algorithm. Where's the equal sign? So this is the subset that we need to implement, which looks small, but it's not small. It's just cursed. So let's go do this. So if we have a double quote in there, set parameter value to the result of collecting an HTTP quoted string from input given position and true. And then collect a sequence of code points that are not semicolon from input given position. So this is crazy because it keeps stuff within quotes, and then apparently there can be stuff outside of quotes that we just throw in the garbage. And it's not an error, it's by design that we're throwing away this stuff. So, okay. So let's see what it takes to collect an HTTP quoted string. Surely it won't be too bad. Oh my fucking god. Let's go. Let position star be position. Value be the empty string. Assert. The code pointer position within input is the quote. Yes. Advanced position by 1. While true. Oh, this is another staple of good parsing algorithms when you have a while true in there. Append the result of collecting a sequence of code points that are not the quote or slash from input given position to value. If position is past the end of input, then break. Let quote or backslash be the code pointed position within input. Advance position by 1. If quote or backslash is a backslash, then if position is past the end of input, then append slash to value and break append the code point and position within input to value, advance position by 1. Otherwise, assert that it's an equal sign and break. Well, at least they tell you to add asserts. That's good. If extract value is true, then return value. Well, I don't know. We don't care about this stuff. Return the code points from position start to position, including within input. Okay. Example. Quote slash output is going to be quote slash output with extract value set to true. Oh my fucking god. They are being like they allow you to forget the closing quote somehow. Is this it? Because extract value takes out quotes, but then if there's a missing quote, it's not an error, it's just okay. Another piece of insanity. Okay, let's go implement this stuff. So set parameter value to the result of collecting and it should be equal to string. Okay, so let's go. After that we are on quotes, sure. Advance by 1 while through append the result of, so we collect everything until we find a quote or a slash. So I guess we do index of. We're slicing on 1. Should we do the slicing on 1 or should we pre-slice? I don't know. We'll think about it later, I guess. So what is it that we want? We want to on a slash or on a quote? Or else kvs.len. Except that we sliced it by 1, so now this counts is going to be all fucked up. I think we need to slice kvs. Yeah. Okay, slightly less insane. If position is past the end of input, then break. So we can literally do also, this is a while through, right? Oh shit. While through. So we can break, but this kind of implies that we consumed everything. So it's not just a break, but it's a break where we literally consumed everything. So let's go do it this way. Empty string. So no, so yeah. So this is how it has to be, I think. Okay. Actually, we do them break, but then do we error out? So let's see. This is gonna give us an empty string. This is going to not do anything, and then we're gonna leave. Yeah, so this should be fine. Okay. Oh, it's a backslash. Whoops. Actually, you know what? Let's do it this way. I wish we got indentation for this. So we have the index where the quote or slash is. Advance position by 1. If quarter backslash is a slash, then if position is past the end of input, yeah, this +1. So if we consumed everything, so if slash was the last character, then penny to value, which we don't do, and then we break. Okay. Otherwise, so here len is not 0, so there is something after the slash. Append the code point at position within input to value. So whatever the value, whatever the thing is, we append it. Advance position by 1. Otherwise, wow, what an algorithm. So we're looking at so we use single quotes. So here's how it works. We use single quotes for the outer thing, which allows us to use I think this is how the parser works. Like, I think that what we're looking at is the parser working. Because the problem is that within quotes, apparently you can put anything you want. It really does no validation whatsoever. So, yeah. Okay, so I think that we did this. I'm gonna consider it done. So take this out. Okay, we're good with this. So next is gonna be implement picture and implement parent-child attribute validation. Yeah, parent-child attribute validation. Bonkers though, really bonkers. Okay. So let's go do that. Element, picture. So we start with from P. Probably, you know what? It probably doesn't matter. Okay, so picture. Let's implement picture and let's see where that gets us. So picture element. Flow phrasing embedded. Okay. Flow phrasing embedded. What does it accept? Content model. 0 or more source elements followed by one EMG element optionally intermixed with script supporting elements. Okay. So I was thinking previously that maybe what I wanted to do was have an element declare if it needs the parent. Yeah, but we do want to put that on source for sure. But at the same time, I think that what we want to do is also to make sure that when we are looking at a picture element, we leave attribute validation also of EMG to it, I think. Either that, or alternatively, we need to add a bit to store whether the image has the properties that we care about for validating source elements. Has to be one of the two. Okay, let's start implementing it. Also, attributes, no, it doesn't have weird attributes. So I guess this is good. Content model, it's custom. So, but it's literally like none, basically. Meta, category superset. Default values for everything. Category superset, yeah. Content reject, no. Extra reject, no. There you go. So attributes, static, yes. It has just none. Content. Content is not just the model. Content is fully custom. Hello, what was the curveball? I'm implementing it now. So basically, one sec. Okay, basically, source elements under picture are weird because they not only have their validation depend on the parent node, but their validation depends also on their siblings. And that is weird because it means that up until now, every element could be reasonably efficiently analyzed in, let's say, isolation. Like each one validates its own attributes. But because each source element depends on the attributes of the EMG sibling element that they have under picture, then if we implement it that way, then every source element will basically have to reparse the EMG element like endlessly. So this means that to do it efficiently, we need picture to validate attributes of all its children. Long story short, it's the only way. It's the only reasonable way. Maybe not all its children, but at least source and EMG. Okay. So, how does this work? For validation, I guess we just have to implement it. That's it. So we're going to have some kind of state. Well, I guess we're going to do this. Const first child idx equals okay, run this. Const parent equal parent equals nodes parent idx const first child idx parent dot first child idx. Then we need, I guess we need a state. Like we're looking for sources and we're looking for EMG and we're done. I'll say source singular, I guess. Then var child idx equals first child idx, while child idx is different than 0. Const child equals nodes at child idx. Defer child idx equals child dot first next idx. Okay, with this we're looping over all children. Then what do we want to do next? Next, we want to say, well, what type of child did we find? So we switch, I guess, first on the child or first on the state? I think we need to switch first on the state. I think it's in our best interest. Although, you know what, maybe it's better to have first a initial rejection phase for bad children that we just do not care about at all. So switch child dot kind source emg script template, and I think we could even do it like this. Source an image, we let go, we let pass. Script and template, we just continue. We don't really care about them, else it's an error. And then I continue. Span is going to be parent span, which we don't have yet, or we'll need to procure. Reason. Do we want to put a reason for this? I mean, I don't think it's particularly interesting. You can say that on the picture only script template, source image, script and template are allowed. I guess. Main location is going to be child dot span. I think we have this, which supports us. Source node idx node idx child idx actually. Okay, what do you not like about this? Oh, that I have syntax error below. Okay, so this initial validation is actually, it's actually pretty good in my opinion. So we are in the state source. And I think we should say switch child.kind. More than a child.kind is like an if else situation, but it's fine. Okay, so what's parent span? There you go. Okay, so we are in the source state. So what does this thing say? 0 or more source elements followed by one EMG element. Option intermixed with script supporting elements. Okay. So we are in the source state and we see a source image, a source element So here in theory, what we should be doing, I'm going to just leave a comment, analyze source. So we should analyze source. If we see EMG, we should continue state. We should do two things. State equals dot EMG and continue to state with state. Sorry, dot EMG. Okay, so we see an image that moves us to image. If we see a source, then we need to error out because it's a wrong position. I think it's invalid nesting. What do we do for out of order stuff? What did we do in audio? Yeah, it's invalid nesting for this stuff. Okay. Span, parent span, reason. Source elements must go above EMG element, above the EMG element. Then append. Then main location, child span, node IDX, child IDX. Okay. Image. Analyze image. But not only analyze image, this should also like append errors for all the other things. Like everything now, basically, we kind of do the full analysis. Let's say conclude analysis. I don't even remember how you write analysis anyway. Source. Okay. If we're done, then we need to complain because if we see a source element, then we should complain because we're past image. And if we see an image, we should complain because conclude analysis, sorry, and conclude analysis and state equals dot done. You know what? We could even do this. Cut this, paste it here. And in here we say continue to dot done. That's actually good. That's actually pretty good. So in the case of tag, it's duplicate child. Span and reason. Original child. Oh. EMG span. Dot question mark. And here we do this. Do we actually make it? No, it's not optional. We just make it undefined. Yeah. And here we don't do this. Okay. So we're just missing a tiny piece of logic, which is just everything. Well, the analysis. Okay. So yeah, we're just missing analysis. We need also to decide how do we delegate this. We need a way of turning off the analysis of certain things. So how do we make this work? I think source can declare that its own attributes should not be analyzed. EMG might analyze itself. We could spare one bit somewhere. Although it would be nicer if we didn't have to. Or we could redo the work. We could reanalyze EMG summarily here. Basically, you just run through the attributes real quick and apply a simplified form of analysis. If we don't, so the alternative would be that we completely turn off. No, we can't. Okay, so now I'm remembering. So we can't really turn everything off because that might have implications in the content model. Although, no, you know what? EMG is a void tag, so it has no content model. So we could delay that one as well, like completely turn it off. Hmm. Hey, Giacomo. Thank you for the raid. Hello, everybody. Welcome to a well, to yet another, let's read the HTML spec and cry stream. We're implementing a gnarly part of the spec. Truly gnarly. And I'm basically deciding how I want to drink my poison. I can't even pick my poison. It's just one poison, but I guess I can decide whether I want to, you know, drink a shot of it, water it down, inject it in my pupils. So here's what we're doing more specifically. We are looking at picture. Picture is structured as, let me see if there's an example in here. Extremely concise examples, huh? Only. Oh, why am I getting a video example? Wait, I was in picture and I was getting a video example? I was indeed getting a video example. Thank you, HTML spec. Good job. So here's what's happening. Imagine that this is not video. Imagine that this is picture. And when you have a picture element, you can give it multiple sources and then an image element at the end. Right, pictures are videos. Good point. Of course. So, man, why is the spec like this? God damn it. So, in any case, the point is that basically there are some weird interactions between the source elements and the EMG element. Or more specifically, the interactions at runtime, like if you're a browser and you're trying to make sense of what these things say, I don't know. I don't know if those interactions are particularly nice or sane. I have no comment on it. But it's surprisingly weird which interactions there are at the parsing level. So far, I'm only concerning myself with parsing, and because I'm writing a language server. And there are some really weird rules. So long story short, basically what you can put in your source elements depends on which element they are nested in. So what you can give to source if you're inside of a video is different than what you can give to source if you're inside of a picture. Not great, but fine. But here's when things get fishy. What you can put inside source depends on the attribute. So when I say put inside, I mean attributes. Well, like which attributes you can give to source depends on which attributes EMG has. Or not just that, also which values the attributes of the final EMG element have. So the point is that up until now, we were always able to say that we basically ran through the tree of elements, and every time we want to validate an element, we can do that in essentially isolation. But now this is not true anymore. So I'm trying to basically decide how I want to play this. I have a few options. I had a few approaches that I can take. Some of them are about saving a bit of metadata for EMG elements. Arguably, this is way beyond syntax. I wish. The problem is this. The problem is this. The source element parent is a picture element. Let's read this one. If the source set attribute has any image candidate strings, the sizes attribute may also be present. So this means that for you to be able to have sizes as an attribute, you have to have source set defined. Fine. If additionally the following sibling EMG element does not allow auto sizes, then the sizes element sorry, the sizes attribute must be present. So you're not allowed to have a sizes attribute if the EMG element does allow auto sizes. Or sorry, well, sorry, no. What I should say is, if the EMG element does not allow auto sizes, then sizes must be present. So it means that I need to have an error where I tell you that you're missing a piece of syntax, depending on how the EMG element analyzes. I don't know. It kind of sucks, but okay. So here's what I'm thinking. How are we doing with regards to bits in the tree? Because at the end of the day, all we need to record in this case is just one bit of information from the EMG element. So let's see, do we have any free bits? Or is that too costly for us? So we have in model, here we have extra reject. So basically we have these two guys. This should become a packed struct, I think, honestly. And I think that model also should become a packed struct. So what do we have in extra? So far, extra has a single bit. What do we have in categories? We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 bits. So 7 bits. Extra is the, 7 times 2, that's 14. 15. So we have 15 bits here. Oh yeah, also we shouldn't worry about this because this goes into the definition. This does not go in the tree. We only worry about what goes in the tree. And this is what goes in the tree. So it's 15 bits. So, I mean, we still have some extra bits that we could take a look at. So let me take a look briefly at how we use extra in here. So this is render, not interesting. We don't care about extra invalidate nesting, or I guess it's an element then that we care about extra. Can I do just go to references? Oh, that's nice. Oh, snap, we're doing overlaps. We're doing overlaps, so we can do overlap. So this would need to be tab index and the reason why I feel confident in doing this job is because it's already very custom made. Like we already are code the reason. So fine. So far we haven't seen any big reason to do a more generic way of doing this. So that's fine. So here we have the same idea. Forbidden is an extra. And we give it a name to this thing. Interesting. Okay, but this also relies on this guy. Also, simple is a model, right? Yeah. Okay, I think we can stuff an extra bit in there. So here's how it works. in model extra, we have also, the heck is this thing? Allow auto sizes. An EMG element allows auto sizes if this and this condition. Okay, so okay. Then honestly, that other situation where we're using that stuff is, it's pretty much overkill. If I have to be honest, it's like this overlaps stuff is really pretty much overkill with this whole thing. Okay. So we have this. So EMG remembers this property, or rather it will, because we haven't implemented it yet. So once we implement it, we need to make sure that we fill out that bit when appropriate. But that means that now in our in picture, then we do this we can do this validation. So we could have every source element find EMG, but then each one of them would also complain that EMG is missing. And I think we should have only one complaint about this. So I think the source needs to declare that it does not want to validate its own attributes individually. Source is the only one that does that. Yes. Okay, so here's how it works. Picture is only required to validate source children. Everything else will be validated autonomously, basically. We only care about source elements that we need to here we need to validate the attributes. Here, when we find EMG, what I would say is, I think we should do first thing you should do a scan where we find EMG, record information about it, and then we do this. And so when we do EMG here, we actually do nothing. Yeah. So before we do this, we find EMG. EMG IDX. No. We only care about even just the bit. EMG allows what is called auto sizing. Have a nice day. Yeah, it's, you know what? I suspect that this is still less painful than the HTML spec. Auto size is allowed, right? We could even, you know what we could even do? If we do not see, so we could lie. If we don't see an EMG element, we don't complain about sizes. You know what? That's what we should do. We should do the validation of all these elements still, like of all the other elements still, but we should not, we should basically default to the most lenient value. So actually we don't even need BLK. This is a while loop. While child index is different than 0, else try errors.append GPA tag missing child. EMG. I don't remember what the syntax for this stuff is. Main location is parent span. Node IDX is parent IDX. Okay. So while we do this, const child equals nodes at child IDX. Her child IDX equals child IDX, next IDX. So if child.kind is EMG, then we break with the value. Break with child.model.extra dot auto sizes auto size allowed. Let's just call it auto size allowed. Okay. Auto on sizes. Jesus Christ. Okay. Auto sizes. Incompatible types, bool and void. You're right, because here we need to do this. And then we need to break BLK with true. I don't remember which one of the two is the most lenient. I guess we'll figure it out in a moment. Then here we do everything. Actually, when we find image, yeah, we can't stop because we need to continue, but this is it. And we need to reset child. Okay, we start again. Okay, so in here, in source, we do the analysis of source. So I guess we can make a function for it and we call it just validate sources. Validate source. Because, okay, if we were to do it all here in line, we would need to create a validating attribute iterator, run through it, check if the attribute is global or specific to source. If it is specific to source, then we need to filter it out as one of ours. I guess we can write it here. VAIT is attributes dot validating iterator. Attribute iterator. Is it validating iterator? Oh. Oh, interesting. It wants a scene atverse, which we do not have in here. That is annoying. I guess we can make our own. What is it in here? Of spans. Also, no, we don't do this multiple times. We only do it at the beginning. I lost connection briefly. We should be back though. Okay. Everything seems fine. Sorry, I don't know what happened. Okay, errors. Scene authors. Language. Oh, not HTML for now. Tag. Right. Open. Source. IDX. Okay, so this is the VAIT. While VAIT.next. We need to look at the attribute. So we need to look at the attribute. How do we do this? Do we really give source one list of attributes? Yeah. Yes, and then we do the filtering. There's just another way. Okay. So we have an attribute. So we need to find the model. So if source attributes are attribute dot lm attrs or get, I think. Element attrs. Actually, what do you get when you do this? You get the attribute directly. Okay, not the index. Um, we get an even on the not the index. Hmm. So let's assume that we're not gonna put any metadata in the attributes. So this then is gonna be source attributes dot index. And we say if idx is source attrs comp time index of source, then we complain. And we skip this attribute after this. Yeah. Hello, proper bag. How's it going? It's going well. There's HTML has thrown another curveball at me, but I think we'll survive this one as well. Okay, so we found it, but it's not source. So then it's good. Oh, you know what? We can do it even. We can do it. We can even do this. We switch index. And oh man, this is gonna be a switch case. And this is what we do in that switch case. And if instead it's the content index of size. Yeah, size is another one of those, right? Sizes. Sizes. Right. Allowed. Okay. Otherwise, we do attribute dot global dot get name or else we complain with invalid after. Okay, so this is our general blueprint, and then after this, so this gives us the model. After that, we want to run the model. This should be it. If you like working on LSPs, can you please work on a Kotlin LSP? I do not like working on LSPs, I'm sorry. And there is no way I'm going to touch anything related to the JVM. I'm sorry. Also, you know, a language server for a programming language is more complicated than one for HTML. So I don't know if I'm up to the job. I think that the first language server for a programming language that I am going to make will be for Scripty. So I'm not done with language servers, but I have my own stuff to do first. Okay, let's go. Container index tag. It's invalid attribute, but not the normal invalid attribute. It's a special invalid attribute. Oh, come on. Give me the definition. It's invalid attribute nesting. What do we say? Invalid attribute for this element when nested under. Okay. Picture. So there we go. Main location is author.name. Node index is child index. Okay, so this is okay. Unable to resolve comp time value. Comp time. Redundant keyboard. Dude. Okay. Do not fuck with me. Oh, it's because this guy is not comp time. Now you're happy, huh? Oh, you know what? Right, because this should be in line. God damn it. This should be in line, but unfortunately, I don't control it because it's the enums stuff in the standard library. That's on me. I should use my own abstractions. In any case, else do nothing. Invalid, oh, invalid after nesting. Okay. You can add quality.inline. I guess I could, but you know, it's the same problem as having to remember to put the comp time keyword in front of it. Basically, if I forget, there's the foot gun that will run at runtime. And my point is that I would like to make sure that it wouldn't run at runtime if unnecessary. But I can't do that right now because I don't control it. It's fine. So comp time index for source, for sizes. So each size is allowed. Let's read what the definition is. If the source set attribute okay, the source set attribute must be present and is a source set attribute. Okay, so this guy is required. The source set attribute contributes blah blah blah. If the source set attribute has any image candidate strings, so it might not have those. God damn it. Using a with descriptor. Oh no, sorry. If the source attribute has any image using a with descriptor, so if the ones that the image candidate strings that it has, any of them has a with descriptor, then the sizes attribute may also be present. So source set having these things is also what decides if sizes is allowed or not. If additionally the following sibling EMG does not allow auto sizes, then the sizes attribute must be present. So this means that at this point in time, we really have no idea if it's allowed or not. So what we do here is we remember that we saw it. That's the only thing we can do. So we say var sizes. We save it as a span, maybe. And then we do var. Wait, this is way too high. We need to do this here at the per source element. So we see sizes. Sizes and then source set. I need to remember whether we see source set or not. Do we care about it having a span? We'll see. Okay, we probably want to remember also that we saw a source set because it's mandatory. So we need to complain if we didn't see any. So we have this. If we see sizes, we do sizes utter dot name. Okay, so as we scroll through all these freaking attributes, we remember if we saw sizes, we remember if we saw source set. Source set should also tell us another thing. So var source set, I don't know, what is the freaking condition, man? If it has something with descriptor, source set with descriptor equals false. Actually, what is the more? We should have the most lenient default. What is the most lenient default? Because there might be no source set attributes, so we don't want to add extra errors on top of that if it's unnecessary. Attribute may be present, has any. So we default to true. I guess. Okay. So we have this. We need to write the validation function. So we need to call, sorry, the validation function for this model, for this attribute model. Notice, though, that we have a problem right now because so far our validation functions cannot return anything because validating an attribute doesn't have to tell us anything. So if we call a validation function on source set, then how do we know if it has a with descriptor or not in it? So what I think we need to do is basically have it so that for source set, we don't call any function, but we do the validation ourselves. Validate, or rather, maybe we do call a function, but not one that has that interface. Like we do it differently. So validate the value. So here we validate the value, and then we basically don't want to go down here. We want to continue because we do the validation in here, which should end up with us setting this field. Something like this. I don't know, something like this. His name is really ass, though. Jesus. I don't know, task. Better than before, I guess. Don't forget to move the else branch lower. You mean for model? No. This is a while loop. Okay, so tag. Oh. No, I think I want to keep it at top. For these cases, I like to keep it at top. So what happened? This is just invalid attribute. Okay. So we need to implement validate source set. This is not enough. It will want more than just this. It wants also errors, like GPA errors. The value source. Maybe this is it. Node index also. To produce an error. Oh, you expected it to catch everything. No, it does not work like that. The position of the else is for your own convenience. It doesn't, there's no concept of if you put it up top, then it consumes everything and everything else gets ignored. That tends to be a rule where you have, instead of a like more, let's say pure switch, you have something more like pattern matching. So you have like a match thing that kind of works like a switch, but it's more flexible where you can, pattern match expressions. And so there, the ordering matters because then you could have, when you have like placeholders, like underscore or star, depending on the syntax, then you could have multiple entries that could potentially match the same value. And so in that case, the first one is the one that gets selected. So when you do this, then the underscore, let's say that the else case is basically just underscore, which matches everything. Then yes, if you put that one at top, then it's a problem. Although in those cases, I would expect maybe some linter to tell you that that's a bad idea. But in Zig, it doesn't work that way because all these things are completely mutually exclusive. There is no concept of overlap in here. They are all different values. There is no pattern matching going on. Okay, so here we do validate source set. This is child IDX. Okay, let's assume that I'm going to delay implementing this for a bit more. So let's assume that we did everything. We know if we've seen sizes. We know if we've seen source set. We know if we've seen source, if source set with desk is given to us. So how does this work? Basically, once we're done with the while loop, we say, well, so if we did not see source set, well, I guess we have to do it otherwise. Let me think about it for a second. Maybe we do or else. No, I think we need ifs. Although, do we need that value? Actually, we might not even need that value. Okay, let's do it like this. If source set is null, then we complain. It's a mandatory attribute. If it is present, and actually, you know what? Maybe we leave it at that. And so we continue. Otherwise, we say, so the conditions for size to be allowed is, let's go read them again because they're fucked up. You know what? I'm going to copy paste this shit also because this is going to be, it's going to drive me insane in any case. If the source set attribute has any image candidate strings using it with descriptor, the sizes attribute may also be present. Oh shit. borked itself. Then I don't know why. Well, I rebooted it. Oh, maybe it's interesting. Reset. I think Google kind of booted us out. I think while while everything was running. I have no idea. Okay, the sizes attribute may also be present. If additionally the following symbol in imaging element does not allow auto sizes, then it must be present. So the conditions are two. If EMG auto sizes, I don't remember what the name of that thing is, and sizes is null, then it's an error. Missing sizes when EMG does not allow auto sizes. Else, if sourced with desk, if this is false and sizes is different than null, then we complain. Which more idiomatically is if sizes like this. I think, okay, so this is how I interpret it. If the source attribute has any image candidate strings using it with the descriptor, then sizes may be present. And so it's this case where sizes is present. Oh, you know what it looks like? You see how we have these two cases here. So I think we can refactor this like this. If sizes and here we have the else, which we can do like this. Basically, no else, just a continue. Okay, so this is the simplified version of that same logic. So sizes should not be present. And this is like an invalid attribute. It's like invalid attribute combination. Main location is going to be size. Okay, we need a good reason. What is it called? No definition found. Yeah, come on. Invalid attribute combination. Okay, invalid attribute combination. And it's just a string. Okay. Invalid attribute combination. So what is our problem in this case? Sizes cannot be defined. Sizes. If additionally, it says must be present. Okay. So sizes. Invalid attribute. Right, I don't have to repeat the attribute name because it's going to be the main location that tells us. Requires invalid attribute colon requires source set to specify an image candidate, an image with a width descriptor. That's how I would put it, I think. Okay. Then down here, this is the same concept, but the string is different. No, it's well, we don't have SC. This is gonna be we need the source node name, which we have in VAIT. Yeah, so this is gonna be the main location. We say missing. So missing required utter sizes. I think this is literally it. Unfortunately, we need to fix this thing. So, okay, what is this stupid variable called? EMG auto sizes. Okay, there we go. Okay, so this also this error is done. Okay, so with this we have implemented correctly the validation of our children elements. We're missing the actual validation of source set. Yeah, we need the actual validation of source set, which we should add in here. How bad could it be? Now watch these. Now watch these syntax be completely batshit crazy, insane. Let's see. Source set is a source set attribute. Okay, click on it. There's some parsing, huh? A source set attribute is an attribute with requirements defined in this section. If present, its value must consist of one or more image candidate strings, each separated from the next by a comma. If an image candidate strings contains no descriptors and no ASCII whitespace after the URL, the following image candidate string, if there is one, must begin with one or more ASCII whitespace. What? What are these? Wait, what? What are these rules? Wait, did I misunderstand this? So the way I understand this sentence is that basically it says you have foo.png, comma, bar.png. This is not okay because this doesn't have any space, so you need to put a space here. And this is so far is fine, but this is also saying that if this guy has some space after, or maybe even before, then you don't need space at that comma. Is this what this is saying? If an image candidate string contains no descriptors and no ASCII whitespace after the URL, okay, so never mind. It's not this case, but it is this. Then the following image candidate string, if there is one, must begin with one or more ASCII whitespace. And so it doesn't have to start with whitespace if there's spaces before the comma. Huh? Also, what happened to my music? Bro, come on. Let's go. Uh-oh. Is my YouTube pooping itself? No, it's just that one. Okay. An image candidate string consists of the following components in order, with the further restrictions defined below in this list. 0 or more ASCII whitespace. A valid non-empty URL that does not start or end with a comma character. Referencing a non-interactive, optionally animated image resource that is neither page nor scripted. Then 0 or more whitespace. Then 0 or more of the following. A with descriptor consisting of ASCII whitespace, a valid non-negative integer giving a number greater than 0 representing the with descriptor value, and a Latin small letter W character. Interesting that this with character is actually not case insensitive. A pixel density descriptor consisting of ASCII whitespace, a valid floating point number giving a number greater than 0 representing the pixel density descriptor value, and a small letter x. And then 0 more ASCII whitespace. There must not be an image candidate string for an element that has the same with descriptor value as another image candidate strings with descriptor value for the same element. There must not be an image candidate string for an element that has the same pixel density descriptor value as another image candidate string's pixel density descriptor value for the same element. For the purpose of this requirement, an image candidate string with no descriptors is equivalent to an image candidate string with a 1x descriptor. If an image candidate string for an element has the with descriptor specified, all other image candidate strings for that element must also have the with descriptor specified. Oh, so here's how it goes. So one part of the spec was saying that at least one of these things needs to have a width descriptor, but it turns out that if any one of them has it, then also the other ones have to have it. The specified width in an image candidate strings width descriptor must match the natural width of the resource given by the image candidate strings URL if it has a natural width. If an element has a sizes attribute present, all image candidate strings for that element must also have the width descriptor specified. Also, also this rule is kinda, it's not inconsistent with the other rules, but this is like kind of backwards. This is saying, well, if you do have a sizes attribute, then all your thingies need to have with the descriptor specified. So in a sense, this is basically turning the error from you cannot specify sizes because you don't have with descriptors in your source set attribute to the opposite. It's like basically this is saying no, your source attribute is wrong because you have sizes. Not that that makes much of a difference in our case, but it seems wrong to me that the spec kinda gives you the error from both directions. You should have one direction, I think. That is the official one. So let's write this freaking parser, I guess. So does it need to have value? So yes, it has to have a value. So if so const v equals value, or else should we do it above? Nah. Oh, you know what? We need the full attribute. Because of this. Okay. So okay. Then what's the problem, dude? Accepted type, blah blah blah, error union, bool found out of memory, void. Oh, right, because we are always returning a value. We're not like modifying. Should we accept that as an like a pointer that we write to? Should we accept that as a pointer that we write to? Let's think about it. I kind of like this idiom. So you know what? Let's do it this way. Okay, so we have the value. So let's change also how we use it. Okay, we have the value. Now we need to parse it. So an image candidate string consists of the following components in order with the further restrictions defined below this list. 0 or more ASCII white space, a valid or empty URL that does not start or end with a comma character. So this is saying that you can have a comma character in the middle of your URL, but can you put commas in file names? By the way, the fact that these guys allow commas in those names is part of what complicates this protocol in and makes it like weirder than it needs to be. But fine. Referencing a non-interactive, yeah, whatever. Then 0 or more ASCII white space. Then 0 or more of the following. Then 0 or more white space. So this is describing an image candidate string. This is not forcing the presence of white space. Okay, the reason why this here is saying this weird thing. If an image candidate string contains no descriptors and no ASCII whitespace after the URL, the following image candidate string, if there is one, must begin with one or more ASCII whitespace. This rule is because they want to make sure that if you have a comma within a URL, you basically need to not split on it. That's what they're saying, basically. So I guess what we would want to do is split on spaces. So I'm trying to think if I can make a simplified version of this super shitty algorithm here, and instead say, well, we tokenize on white spaces, and we say I'm either looking for, if I'm looking for a string, sorry, if I'm looking for a URL, I look at the URL. If it ends with a comma, I don't consider the comma part of the URL. And I go from searching potentially a descriptor, I go from searching the next URL. If the URL does not end with a comma, then I look at the next thing that I get. And if it is a string that ends with, oh my god, but it's still shitty. These people in their design, god damn it, man. Okay, let's follow this thing, I guess, bit by bit. There, I don't think we can do much better. Also, they give you a description, but they don't give you an algorithm for parsing. So they expect you to come up with it yourself. That is so annoying. And in any case, we really do have to split on space because we don't have a like URL parser that consumes up to a given point. Okay. Uh, Actually, this is not just space, right? This is white space, ASCII white space. So, and this is tokenize any. Row value and then value, I guess. Okay. So we need the state. What are we looking for? URL, comma. Well, technically the order is URL, description, and comma. And we start searching for a URL. Okay, so we get a token and we say if token at token.len -1 is a comma, actually we need to switch state. There we go. So if it ends with a comma, we want to validate the URL. Is token 0 dot dot token dot len -1. Otherwise, we validate all of token. Then if we did find a comma, we kind of want to continue to comma state in a sense. Oh no, we want to set state. We move it to URL because we saw a comma, then we want to see another URL next. If we do not see this, we go to desk. I guess. Then If you are in the description state, okay, so we do this, do another round. We're in description state. What could we get? We either getting a description or a comma. So if token at 0 is a comma, oh, this is interesting. If token at 0 is a comma, then we either have a comma and that's it, or we have a comma URL. We need to distinguish between these two. Oh my god. What if this begins and ends with a comma? So what if we are looking for a desk and we find comma URL comma? What do we do then? I think that's a syntax error. Well, actually, no. No, it still would not be, right? Because there is a space before, so there doesn't have to be a space afterwards. So I guess it's fine. Oh my god. What a weird thing, man. So we see a comma, then we say, well, if length is 0, then we basically consume the comma, and then we want to say, okay, then state equals dot URL. And we can even say continue. If otherwise length is greater than 0, then we have to see, does it end with a comma and does it have anything in the middle? So if token.len is I think it should be like this. Basically, our two main cases are these: comma, 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 and wait, comma, comma is an error. You should complain about it. Although technically, we could try to parse it as a URL, no matter what. I bet you the algorithm is going to be out of sync with what browsers do. I have this strong suspicion. In any case, one is this. Then we have example.com, comma, and then we have comma, comma, comma. Like I think these are the so this is the comma case, just a comma. No, wait, what am I doing? Token len is 1. It cannot be 0. So this is just a comma. And there's this, then there's these cases. So I guess we want to distinguish between the case where it ends with a comma. So it's basically those two cases. What do we do in these two cases? Then we validate the URL. And then since we saw a comma afterwards, we are going to the URL state again. Okay, and this leads us to the final situation where it's like this. And so we do this. So we just skip the beginning, comma, and then we validate the URL. Oh, there is a page dedicated to this. Let's see. Splitting loop. Collect a sequence of code points that are ASCII white space or comma characters from input given position. Any comma characters were collected, that is a parse error. Wait, okay. Point to input initially pointing at the start of the string. Candidates is empty. Splitting loop. Collect a sequence of code points that are ASCII white space or comma. If you find comma characters, that's a parse error. Okay. So, like, if at the beginning you have comma example.com, then it's an error because of the initial comma. I think it's the case also for us. Although maybe you should have a dedicated arrow for this. Let's see. We're in the URL case. Here we're saying that if it ends with a comma, we do things, otherwise we validate token. We should say that if token 0 is a comma, syntax error, continue. Actually, do we really continue? I think more than continue, we break. I think that every time we find an error, we break, basically. We return. So this is the case for returning. If there's a comma at the end, this should be fine, except if validate fails. So like this. Okay. So, splitting loop, blah, blah, blah. If position is past the end of input, return candidates. Collect a sequence of code points that are not white space. If it ends with a comma, remove all trading comma characters from URL. Oh, if this removed more than one character, this is a parse error. Okay, okay. Why? But why do you have to express it this way? But fine. So otherwise, descriptor tokenizer. Skip ASCII white space. Let current descriptor be the empty string. Let state be in descriptor. What does that even mean? Let C be the character at position. Do the following depending on the value of the state. For the purpose of this step, EOF is a special character representing the position is past the end of input. Do the following depending on the value of C. If it's white space, if the current descriptor is not empty, append current descriptor to descriptors and let current descriptor be the empty string. Set the state to after descriptor. Comma, advance position to the next character in input. If current descriptor is not empty, append current descriptor to descriptors. Jump to the step labeled descriptors parser. Left parentheses. What? Append C to current descriptor. Set state to in parents. Why are you? Where is this coming from? Since when can you put parentheses in these things? They didn't say this earlier. They did not say that you could have parentheses in this shit. They said that you had URLs, commas, spaces, and like a number plus W or a floating number plus X. Since when you can have parentheses? In parentheses, right parentheses, append C to current descriptor, set state to in descriptor. EOF, append current descriptor to descriptors, jump to the step labeled descriptor parser. Anything else, append C to current descriptor. After descriptor, do the following depending on the value of C. If it's white space, stay in this state. If it's EOF, jump to the step labeled descriptor parser. Anything else, set state in descriptor. I cannot believe this. But what do the parentheses even do? What is the point of these freaking parentheses? Descriptor parser, let error be no. Let width be absent. Let density be absent. Let future compat h be absent. For each descriptor in descriptors, run the appropriate set of steps from the following list. If the descriptor consists of a valid non-negative integer followed by a small letter W, if the user agent does not support the sizes attribute, let error be yes. A conforming user agent will support the sizes attribute. However, user agents typically implement and ship features in an incremental manner in practice. This is the leading spec, so I don't know. They might have added this recently, but I don't think so. It's insane. Why is it like this? Why are they doing this? If width and density are both absent, then let error be yes. Apply the rules for parsing non-negative integers to the descriptor. If the result is 0, let error be yes. Otherwise, let width be the result. If the descriptor consists of valid floating point numbers followed by a Latin small letter x, character. If width, density, and future component H are all absent, then let error be yes. Are not all absent. If the description consists of a valid non-negative integer followed by a Latin small letter H character. Yeah, so this H stuff is also new. This one doesn't have, this one only goes over W and H. But I did click here. Parse a source set attribute. Yeah, I don't know actually, because my spec here, image candidate string, this one is instead parsing a source set attribute. Let's quickly see where we are with regards to one another. So this is a bit down below, so I should have it here as well. Processing model. When to obtain images, reacting to DOM, list available images, decoding images, updating image data. Preparing an image for presentation, selecting, creating, updating. The heck, where are we? Oh, next one. Parsing a source set attribute. Why is it down here? And yeah, I have also the parenthesis stuff. These people are evil. These people are truly, truly evil, like dastardly evil. I'm in some ways, I may be half serious because obviously right now complexity annoys me because I'm the one that has to implement it. So I would prefer for things to be simpler, but obviously, you know, when you're using HTML, you want it to be featureful and you want to be able to specify, you know, your alternative images with the weird source element, syntax, whatever. But I do think there is one genuinely evil aspect in this. And it's the fact that they're looking at this spec. First of all, it's like a weird mess of not being precise enough and a horrible taste in explaining parsing algorithms, like these parsing algorithms as explained. So not only explained, the design is a disaster. The fact that you have these nesting of values, like these people, I fucking hate these people. So let me explain what I mean. It's time to whip it out. Let's whip it out, the drawing tablet, I mean. So what's happening here? What is happening here is that what you would want whenever you have something that is made of small pieces. So if your thing is basically like A followed by segment B followed by segment C, what you would like is to be able to have the algorithm that starts by tokenizing on this separator. And then if A in turn is made up of X, comma, Y, then you split again on the comma, for example. So far, not even a single one of these sub languages that we are seeing, like for MIME types right now for this stuff and for other things as well, pretty much none of them have this concept where you have this hierarchy. They always do it linearly. And it's not just a matter of they don't explain it this way. It's not just that. It's impossible to do it this way. because their languages have all this weird shit like the parentheses, like the quoted stuff, where basically this approach is gonna fail because somewhere there's gonna be something like I don't know, a, then there can be some optional parentheses stuff or quotes stuff where in the middle you can have anything, so like any character, and then some separator and then b. And so you can't just split on these separators because this fucking separator is also going to be in the middle here. And so you're going to split wrongly. And then there is no point. Like, we're splitting on it's between parentheses. We don't even do anything with what's between parentheses. Like, we literally do nothing. The only reason why that thing exists is to make it impossible for me to do the same splitting system. And so why is this? The reason why this is because the person that designed these languages, well, the people who designed these languages, these sub-languages, they seem to be completely unaware of why this is desirable. They don't understand that this is a good property to have, like an extremely good property to have, because it makes, like, this property makes parsing of things that are potentially even arbitrarily nested, like arbitrarily deeply nested even, almost. Well, you know, with some caveats, but you can have, like, even X and Y be in turn split into, I don't know, alpha colon beta. Like, you could have like a very relatively deep pyramid of these things, and it would still work out beautifully. Instead, there's this fucking shitty, error-prone, insane algorithms where, like, set error to let error be no. It's not even false, it's just no. And so what are you gaining from this? You don't gain anything. It's also a combination of year of making stuff backward compatible with HTML spec was first introduced in 1993. No. Absolutely not, because this is new stuff. Like, source set is not from 1993. You know what? Let's see when the source element was added, or when source set as an attribute was added. Does anybody know where we can find information about when this stuff was added, like when an element or an attribute was added? Because I can totally understand the old stuff to be wonky, fine, but the new stuff is turbo wonky as well. This feature is well established and works across many browser versions. It's been available across browsers since July 2015. So this was being spec'd in what, 2010-ish? It was 10 years ago. This stuff was being worked on 10 years ago. Let's see. The first, so this is there anything better that we can look into for dates? No. View data on GitHub, report problems. Okay, so it was present in Chrome 34. This was 2014, 2015, 2015, 14. So wait, this was spec'd at the speed of fucking light. 2015, 14, 14, 14, 14, 14. So this was spec'd in 2014, basically. The source set attribute for images. No mention of parentheses. So it means that the parentheses bullshit was added afterwards. It's more recent. I think I wanted to say something earlier, and then I kind of stopped halfway through, I think. But I guess my point is that not only I don't like this complexity because at least some of it is unnecessary, but I think that some of this is put there, well, maybe not necessarily on purpose with evil intent, like with explicit evil intent, but the lack of care is 100% there because these people think they're the only ones who should be doing browsers anyway. They are, in a sense, creating a moat out of the complexity of the spec. The more the spec is complex, the bigger is the value of owning Chrome, because nobody else, like you, the more you make it complicated, the lower the chances that you will ever have a competitor. And it's basically oligopoly through complexity. And so what happens is that they are the same people since many years, right? You mean the people owning browsers? Yes. You mean the people working on the HTML spec? I don't know any of them personally. I think you should ignore anything in the spec that is not in MDN to remain sane. I should maybe, but at the same time, MDN is not the authoritative source. The spec is the authoritative source. MDN tracks the spec. So maybe the weirdo parenthesis stuff that we saw there is newer and it's not implemented yet, but it's not, MDN is not what decides. I mean, I understand that you probably know that, and your point is to remain sane. I get that. But I think I would also go insane if I am forced to band that way. I'm not banding. I am absolutely not banding. I'm not giving in to these idiots. So I'm implementing that shit start to finish. We write the best language server there is out there, and then I'm gonna go and tell people what it is, what it takes to implement the HTML spec, what insanity is in there. And maybe one day I will meet one of these people and I don't know, I'll shake their hand. Or I don't know what I will do at that point. But wow. Just wow. Just wow. I mean, the working group that produces the spec must be the same people for years now. Oh, I see. So I guess your point is the same people that had bad taste in 1993 still have bad taste in 2025. Could be. Sure. Could be. Sure, it could be. Definitely. Man. Riddle me this. So, source set can also be given to EMG. EMG accepts source set and sizes. Oh, I see. So these sizes has the same restriction with this source set. Oh my fucking god. EMG has the same weirdo situation. What an adventure, man. What an adventure. Okay. I don't even know. Okay, so basically we need to scroll a bunch until we find that thing. Updating image data. Prepare an image from presentation. Also, another thing that I find insane is why is this stuff up there and then parsing source set is down here? Wouldn't you need to parse the source set first before you, I don't know, start preparing images or whatnot? Anyway. Okay, so this is going to be my next adventure. I think I'm going to stop here. I have a meeting in an hour, so I should probably wind down a little bit before I go there. Insane. Absolutely insane. Well, what can I say? Let's raise somebody. Go say hi to Lucas Develops for me. Oof. Yeah, man. You did say there's the less famous words. And those were the less famous words. We did get a weird curveball thrown at us. We can deal with it, but it does require some time. And then there's been this tiny parsing adventure with a alarming number of attributes. This is truly weird, like truly weird. Anyway, thank you all, and let's do the raid.